We are here at Tech Hub at Cornell University in the atrium of Duffield Hall. I'm here with Aaron Godert, who is the CTO and co-founder at GiveGab, which is a company I know very little about. The GiveGabs were my neighbors in Brooklyn growing up, but no, this is a company that has to deal with volunteerism.
Yep.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, sure. So GiveGab is the social network for volunteers, and we unite the volunteering ecosystem in an online, fun and social environment.
Okay, this is amazing then. So you are offering something unique,
yes,
something altruistic for today's youth to do,
Absolutely.
rather than get their 15 minutes of fame and go, this is me buying my new pair of pants at the Gap. They
Yes.
can actually go online and do something good.
Yes.
I'm fascinated. I want to know more.
Yeah,
How can I help?
so there's this ecosystem with all these different people that are participating, but at the core of that, obviously, is the individual, the volunteer that's out there looking to give back in a fashion through volunteer efforts for a specific cause that they're very passionate about. And this is a thing that happens throughout the lifetime of that volunteer. They may start out when they're very young with their parents. In high school, they may go and they start volunteering with their sports teams, with leadership clubs that are part of that school. And they're doing this to kind of give back to the community, but also build up that profile throughout their lifetime, to get into college, to get a job, to build themselves up professionally beyond college once they're working for an employer.
Okay, so I don't know how many categories you cover, but I'm going to throw one out to you, which
Sure.
is important to me.
Yeah.
I'm a type 2 diabetic, so if I wanted to do some volunteer work for diabetes, would you be able to direct me there?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you sign up for the site, the first thing it does, before it even asks for your name, says, what things do you care about? What things are you passionate about? What causes are you interested in? What skills do you have to bring to the table? And just generally, what are you interested in?
I would like to teach beautiful models debating skills. Okay.
I do believe we have a...
Set up that category for me.
I do believe we have a public speaker attribute that you can choose for yourself. I don't know if we can cross-reference that against beautiful models, but
somebody can write that code for me.
Yeah. So we have these general categories that you could choose, and that really sets up the profile. And then once you get into the system, it starts to match you up with opportunities that are in your area and your local community that are important to you based upon what you chose. Now, that's just the volunteer side of that ecosystem. Outside of that, you have all these other organizations that volunteer. So when you get into college, you're going to be probably volunteering for some sort of service learning or civic engagement program. And the nice thing there is that these universities have these students that are volunteering, and they go out and they interact with the nonprofits in their local area.
So are you just focusing on a niche of younger people, or do you
No, it's
cover
it's
a wide
everyone.
range?
It's everyone. Yeah. So students go out, they volunteer for nonprofits. Those nonprofits in that area have lots of people that also volunteer for that nonprofit. So you start to connect up the young people that are coming out of college, high school, with the folks that are really passionate about that particular nonprofit. And those nonprofits want to kind of connect everyone.
Okay, now I have to switch from my artistic hat to my mean-spirited businessman hat. So how do you make money?
So, well, one of the other components of that volunteer ecosystem are businesses that have corporate social responsibility programs. And they do a very similar thing.
Okay.
So they go
JP
out.
Morgan underwrites
Exactly.
a whole bunch of Walk for Diabetes. I know that. Okay.
So that you have this ecosystem, and these organizations, universities, businesses, even just general service clubs out in the community, they all have this need to communicate, to connect, to bring in new volunteers, and to promote, very important, promote their impact on the local community through reports. So they can go out and say, hey, look what we've done. We've given to these 10 causes in the last year. We've given 30,000 volunteer hours. And based upon the governmental rate for a volunteer hour of approximately $27 an hour, we've given back to the community this financial impact. That's very powerful for those organizations from a PR and marketing perspective. So we sell B2B to these organizations through the site.
So you're consolidating a lot of things for a lot of people.
Yes.
And a lot of corporations are people too, according to Mitt Romney. So in this way, you're peopleizing them. That's a new word I just invented. By bringing them to your site. Okay, then I really like your company. How did the name GiveGab come about? Since it doesn't seem to connect for me.
Well, we started off with a company name of Iuvo, which was actually based out of a Latin term for giving. And then after
So you guys went to Cornell, you're intellectuals. Yeah. I went to Ithaca College. We didn't get that kind of education.
Yeah. So after about 6 months, we realized no one knew how the heck to spell it and couldn't remember the name. So we kind of did a brainstorming session. We thought about lots of different names. We actually had a pilot user base at that point in time. We went out and talked with them, threw out some names, and they really liked the GiveGab. So give being giving back to the community through volunteering efforts, and Gab kind of pulling in that social fun aspect that the site really ties together between all these different organizations and people that are doing volunteer activities.
Well, now let's say conversely what we discussed before, instead of me coming on the site and typing in diabetes, stress, helping people with their public speaking,
right?
What if I think, gee, I'd like to get involved with something, but I don't know what my cause is going to be. You have opportunities there for people to look at?
Absolutely. You don't even have to choose those attributes as you sign up for the site. You can simply just come on the site and you can actually just look around. So we do a very geographically based search finder. So you can even come on without even being a user in the system and come in and see that here are all the nonprofits in my area. Here are all the universities in my area. Here are all the business in my area. They're all doing volunteering. They all have these impacts. They all care about these causes, these interests. And so it presents it out in a very geographical manner. You could see it all on a map. You could click on the points on the map, and you can go and read more about that organization and decide if you want to sign up for one of their opportunities.
Well, this consolidation sounds like a really important factor because I'll again go to my own experience. Is the problem with diabetes organizations is I'll usually read about one and go to it, but they'll want you strictly to do something based on giving them money. Whoops, I just threw my pen. I was getting so upset at them. No, only because I actually do public speaking about diabetes. I'm on television about diabetes, and I'd like to do more. And, yet I've given up in a couple of instances because it's like, okay, I've given you my money, but I'm not a gazillionaire. However, I do have the power of radio and television behind me. And so this seems like a proper avenue for me to explore.
Absolutely. We put the main focus of this site is on sort of the social capital that you can provide back to these organizations, the talents that you have. There's no donation component on the site right now. We allow organizations to say, go here to donate, but really this is focused on feet on the street, getting out there, interacting with people, and really making a difference from a social perspective for those individuals. And the core group that we actually worked with very closely to build a lot of the requirements for the site are volunteer managers, not necessarily executive directors.
Let me interrupt you for a minute. So, I mean, how long have you been in existence?
So we've been around with the idea for about 2 years. About a year and a half, we actually started development of the product, had an alpha and then a beta version out, piloting it in late summer of 2011. And just recently, over the past, I'd say 6 months, we went fully live and just really let it out there for the public. And I've started to see some really good growth on the site.
So where do you envision your company going to and growing to?
Well, we want to be the volunteer, the social network for volunteers.
Are you the first of its kind?
Well, there's a lot of different solutions that are out there. You find a lot of people are using sort of the manual Excel, Facebook directly, Twitter, things like that. There are some sites that'll actually give you opportunities. And then there are some that are more back-end systems for organizations to kind of manage their volunteers in a static manner. None of them bring everything together. They don't bring the demand side, meaning the volunteer opportunities, and they don't bring the supply side, meaning the volunteers, into a single system that's cohesive. And the one thing we're finding is that this is really one of the first systems where volunteers, people like you and me, are actually wanting to use the site. So the great thing is these organizations come back to us like, wow, these people, we see the value in this because not only are you providing us the tools to make it easy to communicate and connect, these people are actually using this site. They're not like some spreadsheet in the back office that we have to reach out to manually. They're logging their hours themselves. They're signing up for things themselves. we don't have to go out and like sell the concept of volunteering to them as
Like
much.
standing on the street with the annoying people going, please join Greenpeace.
Yeah.
And you have to push them out of the way. I pushed one of them into a moving bus the other day on 3rd Avenue. We're still litigating about that. Well, this, Aaron, I think you have a really great site. Is it GiveGab.com?
Yes, GiveGab.com.
Make sure that all of our millions of listeners, please go to GiveGab.com and start volunteering for something. And, of course, you can visit me on robtaub.com. And what is our Twitter handle here is MyTechHub. It's been very pleasurable having you on the show. I'm glad that you were able to join us, and I wish you great success with GiveGab.
Thank you.